Welcome. This is the Senior Life Academy located on the campus of the University Park United Methodist Church here in Dallas, Texas. I'm Dee Dee Cassad, and we have with us for our panel is Mary Jo McCurley. We have Stephen Fleming. We have Bob Monroe and Marion Mathis. Welcome to you all. Today we're going to discuss something a little bit different, maybe a little deeper than we've attempted to do, but we're doing it for a reason. Our topic is what holds us back from spiritual experience. In other words, what is it that keeps us from, at our age, as we're retired, when we supposedly have more time, or at least more discretionary time, how do we use that time, or what are the obstacles that hold us back from having a real spiritual experience and a growth experience spiritually? You want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. One thing for myself, I know what keeps me from ultimate spiritual experience is the discipline of silence. When I do it, I love it. Mm-hmm. It's a very rich environment, and I think silence is important for so many reasons, but mainly it's to make yourself be still.
Yes.
And so I found this really wonderful quote by a poet, of all people, talking about silence, and I'd like to share it with you all. In silence, essence speaks to us of essence itself and asks for a kind of unilateral disarmament, our own essential nature slowly emerging as the defended periphery atomizes and falls apart. As the busy edge dissolves, we begin to join the conversation through a portal of a present, unknowing, robust vulnerability, revealing in the way we listen a different ear, a more perceptive eye, an imagination refusing to come too early to a conclusion, and belonging to a different person than the one who first entered the quiet.
Yeah, very good.
So when you have an experience of being in silence, I think a lot of times once you get yourself to settle down and to breathe, you're at a whole different place at that point.
So the opposite of silence would be the noise.
The noise.
No, and the noise, in my opinion, would be what really keeps us. It's all this clutter in our world, both literally and spiritually, that we do not purposefully very much seek silence, because there's so much going on and we're busy people, and so to me that holds us back, and so we have to sort of scale out of time to be silent.
You have to.
Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, it's hard, and I think some people do a better job of it than others because they're more self-disciplined as people, and because they're very comfortable with carving out time. Mm-hmm. Some people are just too ADD for that.
Well, that's true. That's true. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, I tell you, in response to the question, and we're given these topics ahead of time, of course, to at least think about them, if not jot something.
But we don't rehearse them.
No, we don't rehearse them, but it's been on my mind, and I was thinking, the phrase that caught my attention the most was holds us back. What holds us back? Mm-hmm. As if there's some outside force holding us back. We want to, and I think that's kind of a part of this whole process. We want to blame the outside world for keeping us from something, where it's really, what blocks us, what internal blockages do we have from,
yes,
and I think it's fear, really. I think we're uncomfortable with the silence. We grow up in a culture, we spend most of our time in a culture where silence is sort of like dead air on TV or the radio. You just you got to put something in there, even if you have to play the commercial a second time. Mm-hmm. But really, and it is scary, I have to say.
Yeah,
and it's not immediately rewarding.
No,
that's
a very good point. That's right, very good point.
You have to stick with it. You have to practice it. That's why I think it's such a help to have a partner with it, whether it's just for prayer itself or whether it's for silent contemplation, individual contemplation. You don't just easily acquire it. And
Well, I still maintain that that's right. I think you presented 2 or 3 points. I think also that we have trouble paying attention. That we don't deliberately pay attention. Think about just the day that we've experienced already. Things have come and gone, and we have not paid attention to any of it. Not specifically. Do you agree with that, Bob?
Well, I hadn't thought of today, but when I thought of silence, to me, it's a complete lack of stimulus. And our eyes take for those who have vision, eyes take up about 50% of the processing power of the brain, which is why many times if people want to intently listen, they'll close their eyes. They're not bored or asleep usually. It's they want to concentrate on what they're hearing. And so when I thought of silence, to me I thought of closing my eyes but being in a quiet place audibly. And that's hard to find in today's world because there is so much noise or interruptions. And even if you're in the country, if you will, or a wooded area or a park, you'll find once you start listening, there's a lot of sounds. There's birds, there may be other animals or things like that. And for me, I try and imagine my place in where there's white noise. That's ocean waves. Sometimes you even can buy audible devices to do that, help you get there. Close my eyes and try and be as open as you wrote, Marianne, and listen for God. Stop letting my mind run around with the world, not my eyes seeing things. At least, I'm sure there's people who can pray very intently and get inward without doing all that. But to me, silence was the lack of outside stimulation and concentrating very much and listening for the voice of God.
The outside stimulation, I think, is the key because I know people who listen to television all day long.
or they just have it on. They wouldn't say they were watching it.
Well, that may be true,
They'd
but
be uncomfortable if there
that's
wasn't
the
some
no
noise.
exactly. They have to have noise and clutter, and that clutters your head. If I ask you to concentrate on that chair for 1 minute, it would be hard for you to do. It's one of the hardest things to do to concentrate on something because all these things that hold us back interfere. Our mind is one of the things that hold us back.
But a spiritual experience doesn't have to come just from silence. It can come from walking in the woods
Exactly.
and being observant of all that's around you, what the bird's singing or a bee going by or watching a bee land on a flower. A spiritual experience can come from that. It can come from having a walking meditation. It's
true, yes.
or it can be listening to your breath. So that is in some sense outside stimulus. It's because your ears are hearing it, even though it's coming from you. So there are several, and I think what holds us back from doing those things is a lack of discipline, as you would, or a practice. So if you want to learn how to play the violin, you have to practice. So if you want to learn how to have a spiritual experience and practice, you have to practice.
You have to practice it. Absolutely. Very good point.
You have to show up.
You have to show up.
I mean, really, you have to be present there in the woods or wherever you're walking, and you have to allow yourself to experience it fully, I guess. I think there's also a way to have spiritual insights. It's been my experience that you can have them from conversations with people and meeting people who offer some kind of a a different way of looking at things than you're used to looking at. You can have an aha moment there that's not just intellectual, it's strangely warming, if you want to call it that.
It's experiencing something that's beyond your normal senses. You can't explain it, but you know you've had it.
Exactly, yeah.
Now that's a spiritual experience.
Right.
Something you cannot explain, but you know you have it. It's just like love. You can't explain that, but you know when love is there. It's one of those intangible things that's part of your life.
I wouldn't want us to be seen as equating contemplative experiences with spiritual experiences. I think you're right, Mary Jo. I think there's all kinds of them. And some spiritual experiences happen in group settings that can't happen anywhere else,
Right.
in interaction. But the contemplative experience is one that's kind of foreign to
Yes.
us, especially the Protestant world and the busy workaday world we have, where there's something valuable about doing absolutely nothing, and you don't emerge from it even necessarily with a high or some kind of sense of self-reward. I've been meditating for quite a long time now, and there are days that I do it, and I leave my meditation, and it was but there are other times where it comes to me, in a very powerful wave, and I've been refreshed and renewed, and I can't explain with words, like you say, the difference it's made to me, but I believe that shouldn't be seen as something so foreign to our faith, and I'm encouraged to see that it's becoming more and more incorporated into spiritual disciplines.
Absolutely. What about wonder? As children, the children wonder about a lot of things, and we outgrow wonder, but it's definitely there. It's an awesome experience to be curious about certain things, to wonder about it, and I think part of that is something that we can develop and practice, because things happen like miracles, like the mystery of life. It happens all the time if we're paying attention. And oftentimes we do not pay attention and it goes by. But if we have the contemplative life or thought and paying attention, wonder is all around us.
Well, that's where the contemplative life and what Mary Jo was saying about a walk in the park come together. If you're present in the moment, if
Right.
you're very present,
Yeah.
and you're not thinking about the future, you're not being besieged by the past, if you can just be in the moment, and the sound of your breath reminds you of the miracle of life, for one thing, and that's an admirable place to be in.
Where in the scripture did Jesus breathe on when
His disciples,
Yeah,
and
it's-
they
and he-
received the Holy Spirit.
and he breathed on them? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Has anybody ever experienced that?
Jesus breathing on me?
Well,
That would be good.
Yeah, but exactly. It's I didn't mean it literally. I meant it. You feel like the breath of God has come upon you, or you. I know Bishop Tutu, when he was baptizing a baby, when the water was poured, he went over the chalice and breathed on it.
Huh.
Well, the song "Breathe on Me, Breath of God."
There,
Absolutely.
good.
The word spirit in Hindi, I think it's Hindi,
And
also and in Hebrew means breath.
Breath. Uh-huh.
So it all makes sense. I mean, the core of our existence is with breath.
Exactly. Without breath, we have nothing.
What links us to the universe. This yoga teacher said one time, somebody asked her, well, why do you concentrate so much on breathing? And she said, well, it's what connects us to the universe. Our breath is, we don't have breath, we're not here.
of the ancients and in the Bible, it's when people died, they quite often is an exhale. And they would say that's the breath of the soul. They equivocated that last breath with the soul leaving the body. And, but going back to, we talked about wonder. It's one time I said, well, okay, being silence meant no stimulus. At one time I lived about 8,000 feet above sea level in the Colorado foothills. And I loved to lay on my deck at night, and the sky is very dry and the stars are very bright. Lay there and just look at the stars, because sometimes you see meteorites, especially the Perseid showers, but those same stars were there when Jesus was on earth.
Same ones.
When Moses was on earth.
Same ones.
And I was thinking of the wonder of the universe and the wonder of God. How small I was. I'll only be here in a blink of an eye. But then Jesus made us know that we're all loved and very important. And that was a thing of wonder to me.
That is wonder. That is one. And I think if we can reclaim that sense of wonder as adults, that it opens up a vista of spiritual experience that we really have not purposely pursued.
Another way I like to think of wonder is that sense of awe that you have at a given moment that kind of takes over. It comes as a surprise maybe for you, and it just flashes up, and you realize it's also associated to me with appreciating something. So you appreciate the being of whatever it is that gives you wonder, whether it be an artichoke flower or whatever. But you have an idea, or you have a feeling that you are fully appreciating this creation somehow that's right in front of you, and the awe that comes with that. That's a Thanksgiving kind of a wonder, I guess. I don't know. I just always associate those two.
I don't think we can experience the mystery and the awe with the analytical part of our brain. Whether you want to call that the left brain or whatever. And there's something about contemplation or the contemplative disciplines that exercise that right brain willingness to experience something greater than just figuring something out or analyzing something.
Well, a lot of it is sensory and as well as cognitive. It's
But I think it's a sensory that goes beyond our five senses. It feels like a sense, but it may be the origins of why some people call something a sixth sense.
Sixth sense, yes.
It's really deeply intuitive, and it's not it can occur on occasions of a flash of light or a beautiful sound or something, but it's
So
a
you
different kind of sense.
You think you're referring to the quotation that the deep calls for the deep?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. And I had, that scripture is so beautiful, and I pulled it up for this occasion. It's just, it's from Romans, that the Spirit will not be found on my Google Maps. I pushed the wrong button. It's in Romans 8. In the same way the Spirit helps us in our weakness, we do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people. And it even refers there to the groans that we don't have words for. It's something deep within us.
And it's a mystery. It is a mystery. If you were to say to some people, well, the Bible is full of mysteries. A lot of people say, but it is. There's a lot of mystery in the Scripture, and you just read one. You just read one. And I think that when we understand that there's certain things we cannot understand, I mean, it's not in our ability to comprehend it, but yet it's there. Well, I think this has been I hope it's been a profitable discussion among us, and I hope that those of you who have listened would have some thoughts of your own and could probably listen to this and see if there's something that speaks to you in the way of contemplative living, contemplative thought, how the mind works, and how we can have a sense of wonder as well as a sense of mystery, and have a spiritual experience from all of this. We hope you have enjoyed it. Our email is at the bottom of the screen, and we'd like to hear from you. In the meanwhile, may God surround you with His grace.